so much for being here and taking the time to do this little behind the curtain with us. This is just so much fun. How are things going? How are you handling the quarantine and all the craziness right now?
What, there's a quarantine?
Oh, yeah, well, sorry. I just didn't want to break it to you, but we're
Oh,
all
what,
stuck in our homes.
what do I do now? Could we start again, please?
Oh,
Well, as you can see, we're going a little stir crazy.
yeah, yep.
I'm hanging out with my parents, helping them out during this time. So we're all quarantined together, and I'm not letting them go to the stores, and we're trying to order groceries. And we thought things were getting better, but now here in California, it's just getting bad once again. So we're just trying to do the best we can and stay home and stay safe and wear masks.
Yep.
And they order so many groceries. I got a job delivering them.
All right.
Yeah.
Instacart is saving a lot of people right now, right? Well, I know that you were right in the middle of a tour when things kind of had to shut down all of a sudden. So hopefully we get to see that come back again soon.
Oh, there's no question. Yes. In addition to doing the tour of the superstar, itself, we do screening tours all the time when we're not in Europe or when we're not actually doing a live show. And I'm telling you, the screening experiences are equally as overwhelming as the show being live because people come from everywhere to see the movie. We have a brand new digitally remastered print for and for visual, and it's a beautiful thing. And people come wearing costumes or their favorite characters, and they all sit and we sing along with the film. It is wonderful. And we were in Florida during a screening whenever we had to shut everything down. And you mentioned you guys were doing your thing in April. We were supposed to be back in Boston in April, Yvonne and I doing the live concert and screening the film. So
Yeah.
I know just how you feel. You can't do anything until this thing lifts up.
Yeah.
So when you do get it together, I can't wait to see your show.
It's going to be fun. We're missing our cast and getting back to work on it. It'll just be great when we can finally do that. We have a request here. If maybe we can move the mic a little bit closer.
Sure. Tell me if
I can put
it's
this over
okay.
here, actually, if you want.
Is that better or worse?
Is that better or worse?
What do you think? Let me see if I can turn this up here. Maybe that'll help too. Let me know. Is that working better or is that not so good?
I think that's working.
Okay.
We'll
They'll
see.
let us know, right?
Continue to comment if you're having sound issues,
Yeah,
folks.
and just to let you guys know, I'm going to be in the chat. I'll be checking out if you guys have any questions for my dad, you can please feel free to answer or to ask your questions in the Q&A. And I will also be posting some links to our website. We've got some goodies on our merchandise page. And yeah, and I want to say hi to everyone. I don't know who's on, but I know some of our friends are staying up late with us over in Europe. We've got some of our friends from Italy joining us, and Spain, and the Netherlands, and Germany. So hi everyone, and we're so excited to see everyone near and far, and thank you for staying up late and joining us on here. So I'm gonna just kind of move away and let my dad take it from here, but I'll be saying hi to everyone in the chat, okay? Hi, Heidi, I see you. Okay, I'm gonna say hi in the chat.
In addition to what Tessa just said, we have to thank Mark for having this so we can all see each other again after such a long time. So everybody, all together, applaud. Yay, Mark, thank you, Mark.
Thank you. I appreciate this. You have no idea. It's, it's almost giddy for me. So this is so thrilling.
By the way, I have to do a shameless plug. Our Superstar shirt that I'm wearing, this is our purple tee. It's available on our website, and I'll post the link, okay? Okay.
Sounds great. So Liz Becker says, our family is so grateful for Jesus Christ Superstar. We dance, clean, celebrate, have deep discussions, many about Judas, which I'm playing Judas in our show, so thank you for that. To the video, we love it. You have greatly influenced our family 4 generations. Oh. And I think there's a lot of people on the chat today that can relate to that. I know our family is a JCS family all through and through. They wanted to know what it was like working with Tim Rice.
Absolutely wonderful. Tim Rice is a genius. Think about the fact that he came up with a way of looking at the first 4 books of the New Testament and putting the essence of the spirituality into a language that we all can understand. And then he and Andrew sat down and collaborated and made it into a rock opera. Think about that. Who would have, first of all, the courage to do a rock opera about Jesus? Secondly, who would be able to do what they did to make that story so fluent and make the lyrics? It's all the lyrics of the music. There's nothing else other than the music and the lyrics. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Norman Jewison, bless his heart, our film director. Norman did the adaptation from the original Brown album. You see,
Yeah.
he was a big fan of the Brown album, and he got the rights to do it as a film. And he sat down and wrote the screenplay based upon the process of the songs in the album. It just, it. I wish I'd have been able to be there to observe it from the beginning.
I echo that 100%. I can't really honestly, and I mean this with all sincerity, I can't think of a piece, including what Andrew Lloyd Webber has done, that has really stood the test of time as much. I mean, it's just as relevant today as it was in 1970. And it's interesting to me that when you have a show like Superstar, which just celebrated its 50th year, and has been relatively unchanged. I know there's been some minor adjustments to the arrangements, but apart from that, the 1970 show is the show that you see today for all intents and purposes.
Right. Yes.
I want to ask you, what do you think it is that really, what makes a show like Superstar last as long as it has?
I think first and foremost is the subject matter. The world knows the story, so nobody has to go, oh, I got to read and see what this is about. Everybody has their own conceptual version of the man called Jesus of Nazareth. And what Tim and Andrew did was look at the last 7 days in the life of the man called Jesus of Nazareth as seen through the eyes of his friends and his enemies. So you actually see the human being. Before anybody knew he was any more than Jesus of Nazareth, here was this man going through all of these changes. And we all go through a few changes as life goes on. We can all relate to that. We can see the good, the bad. We can see the indifference, all of it. So if you think about, they know the story already. Now we're going to be able to hear that story sung to rock music. I mean, when we do this stuff in Europe, we have the band right on stage with us. Right on the stage. It's always been before. The band is on the stage with us, you see, and the stage goes in circles. All it's incredible. And the fact is, we've had people come to see the show in Europe, primarily Rome, over 100 times since we've been there. And they all come in and they sing the songs with us. They come dressed in the costumes as well. They know the songs better than we do in many cases. I've had people, because I always see people after the show. I love talking to people after it, before and after, but after definitely. And there have been times when people come up to me and say, Ted, you made a mistake on the lyric in the middle of whatever it was, you see. And they're right. I get involved with something and all of a sudden I'll stumble and they'll go, you can't do that, geez.
Come on, Ted, you've been doing this long enough. You should know by now.
That's right. I'm almost learned it by now. You're almost there. But the whole thing is everybody can relate to it. Everybody has a spiritual connection in their lives to something. And this music and these lyrics and these dynamics touch that heart of every person who watches it. I know I've been doing it forever and I'm still only 33.
There you go. It's amazing. You look great, by the way.
We made a big deal in the beginning,
Yeah. So Debbie Lewis says, hi, Ted and Tessa. Debbie Lewis from Chicago. Ted, what is your favorite childhood memory?
Oh, my goodness. Being born.
Hi, Debbie.
I think that would be it. Being born. That was the beginning of everything. No, I must tell you, my childhood was so filled with the wonderful memories with my mother and father and my older brother, Jack, and my younger sister, Peggy. My goodness, we had such a wonderful time. My dad and mom were both people who loved to go fishing and hunting and all that. So as a childhood, we were always going out fishing and bringing the fish home and catching them and doing our thing ourselves, you know. And they were also movie people who loved films, you see.
Yeah.
So we always had something going on that was entertaining for us. Plus, they both sang. My dad played a banjo and a ukulele. My mother had a beautiful singing voice. My dad sang as well. We were singing before we could even actually pronounce the English language. We were singing songs. We'd sing every night at home. When Dad came home from work, we'd sit down on the couch in the living room and sing. So that's, you know, that's my life. My life became a singer because of that. I was so comfortable as a singer. Greatest thing ever.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I wanted to ask you about that because I know you grew up in a small town in Texas.
Yes.
And you have often been described as the rock and roll drummer from Ranger who could scream. So how do you go from that to getting to superstar?
Well, you just scream so loud, they say, okay, we got to give him a job or he'll keep screaming. No, literally, I was so comfortable literally singing because of my background with the family that I started a band. Well, I didn't really start a band. We were some kids in grade school who thought we liked cars, you know, so we invented a car club.
Sure.
And then one day one of the guys brought a guitar and he started strumming and we started singing. And the next thing you know, we had a band that was playing in the school facilities and church choirs and all that. We were playing all over that little town. And we were the best band in that entire area because we were the only band in that entire area. Everybody had to hire us, you see. So the bottom line is I've been in music all my life. Whenever we graduated from high school, we didn't go to our graduation party. We drove to Abilene, Texas and played for their graduation party and just stayed going. And we ended up in California. We worked our way nightclub to nightclub to nightclub from Texas to California. When we finally got out there, they were auditioning. Every one of the clubs out there in Hollywood were auditioning bands, and we got a job. Wow. So we started playing in all of the crazy nightclubs in Hollywood. And then the people who came to see us, because when we first got out there, it was during the surfer stage of music. The Beach Boys were ruling the world, so to speak, you know, and wipe out. It was all of that. See? Well, we were literally a weekend human jukebox. We did everybody's music. That's what we had done from the beginning. We copied everybody. We weren't writing. We were just singing. Sure. And people would come to the nightclub and see us, and they'd request a song, and we'd do it. If we didn't know it, I'd say, hey, come back tomorrow night. We'll have it for you. They come back tomorrow, we'd sing it for them, you see. So we were the only band in Hollywood at the time that wasn't doing, you know, the typical surfer music. So we were those crazy guys from Texas who we also did a floor show. You know, halfway through the evening, we would leave everything. We'd beat out on the dance floor and we'd do a floor show like Las Vegas, you see.
All right.
So one thing led to something else, and the majority of the people who came to see us were in the industry, actors, singers, dancers, musicians, so on, directors, all that. And one night, we had this gathering after the show at it was the Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood, and we were sitting there with some people because the people who ran the clubs were so happy that we had a fan base. They would let us do whatever we wanted, so we could always invite people to hang with us at night after the show. We're sitting there, and on with this, one guy stood up and said, "Hey man, do you work in the daytime?" And I said, "No, we sleep in the daytime." Yeah. He said, there's 4 of us. We're going to go to an audition tomorrow for a Broadway show. Why don't you come and see what we have to do as actors for a living? So I went to see their audition. And we get to this place, and it was Hollywood and Vine, and the theater was overwhelmingly packed outside in the parking lot with people. And the actor said, "Hey guys, you're going to have to stay with me, buddy, or you're not even going to get inside. Just follow us and do what we do," because they were professional. What it was, they were auditioning for a show called Hair.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so there were so many people, you'd think it was a rodeo time or something that was going on. So by the time we got inside, you know, it was halfway, the day was half gone. So the only way I could get in was do what they did. You go up and you give them your name and number and all that, and then they say, okay, well, blah, 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 and they give you a number, and you go in and you stand in line. I wasn't there to audition. I was there to watch. Well, the guys that took me there put me on the stage, literally.
Okay.
I had never auditioned in my life. I didn't know what to do. I'm on the stage and there's a piano player. So I go over and I talk to the piano player. The whole theater's dark. Couldn't see anything, but just the piano player. So we're talking. And all of a sudden I hear, "Are you Mr. Neeley?" And I said, "Yes. What have you prepared for us today, Mr. Neeley?" I said, "Nothing. I've never done this before. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do." "Are you a singer, Mr. Neeley?" "Sort of, yeah, yeah." "Could you sing us a rock and roll song so we can see your ability to rock out?" So I turned to the piano player and I said, "Hey, do you know Stevie Wonder's version of For Once in My Life?" He said, "Yeah, what key?" I said, "I don't care. Play, I'll catch up." So
Yeah.
I sang that. I start to walk off the stage. "Pardon me, Mr. Neeley, could you sing us a love song, something that shows your passion and your ability to croon and let us know your vocal range?" Well, I was also impersonating Tony Bennett. So I said, "Tony Bennett, same song." So he
Yeah.
started, okay, so I sang that song twice. They hired me and they didn't hire the actors.
Wow.
Tom O'Horrigan, the director of the
Yep.
original Hair on Broadway, brilliant man, is the reason I got into theater. Now, they weren't doing the show then. It was going to be 6 months in the future because they were on Broadway and they were going to do a national tour and all that. Okay, so fade out, fade in. 2 weeks after I did this, my entire band got our draft notice.
Oh, wow.
Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Back to Texas and go through that whole rigmarole of medical treatments and all that. Well, we all got drafted. Everybody got drafted. And a week after I got this, I'm going to Vietnam, I got a note from the draft board saying, "Mr. Neeley, we've just discovered that you are the sole support of your mom. Therefore, you don't have to go." My
Okay.
mom saved my life, literally.
Wow.
My
Wow.
father had already passed. And so, whew, excuse me, I'm getting emotional here. So after everything got settled in Ranger, I decided to go back out to California and see if I could pursue on my own.
Wow.
So what I did was I put together arrangements of most of the songs that we were doing, the ones that the people liked the most, orchestral arrangements, and I carried them and I went to audition for nightclubs and I got hired. And a man named Bobby Darin took me under his wing and nurtured me and helped me get hired in Las Vegas, blah, 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 blah. The next thing you know, I'm doing a nightclub act with an orchestra backing me up, and I'm still doing impersonations of everybody that I'm singing because I'm singing written songs. One
Right.
thing to something else. Tom O'Horrigan, bless his heart, he said, "Okay, we're doing it." I didn't know what he wanted me to do because I had no acting training whatsoever. I'm a screaming rock and roll drummer from Texas with no training, just screaming, yeah, and banging. See, well, he saw something in me I didn't know existed. I
Wow.
ended up doing Claude Hooper Bukowski in Hair
Yep.
in Los Angeles when they did the first American national tour in Los Angeles. Okay, oh my God. Now I can go on telling this story. It might take 4 days, but
Well, there's a fantastic when you were doing Claude, there's a fantastic video of you circulating YouTube doing Where Do I Go? And I think it's a fantastic video.
it's a wonderful song.
Great
And
role.
the irony of that is it's the same philosophy of Gethsemane.
Hmm.
The whole element is, why do I live? Why must I die? Tell me why, tell me where, just like in Gethsemane, you see.
Absolutely.
And Claude, one of the reasons Hair was so successful was there was a nude scene, and
Right.
thank goodness I got to play Claude. He didn't have to take off his pants.
So when you were went from Hair basically right into the original Broadway cast of Superstar, and you were originally covering Jesus, and I wonder, do you remember the first time you went on for Jesus and what that was like?
I'd never forget that one.
Yeah.
Well, the strange thing about that is I auditioned for Judas.
Right.
I had no desire whatsoever to play Jesus because of the fact that the world knows Jesus. How are you going to come up to that?
Sure.
I loved Judas. I preferred the music that Judas got to sing. I wanted to sing those songs, you see. And so whenever Tom called me, we were up in Denver with the band. I had put together a new group. We were in Colorado playing. And he called me and said, Ted, I'm going to do this show called Jesus Christ Superstar. I'd like you to be in it. The producers don't know your work. Please just pick up that Brown album and pick a song and come back and sing. So I did. I'm up walking the mountains in Colorado and listening, and I heard the Judas songs. And I went, God, I want to sing these. So I flew back to New York, went for the audition. I go on the stage, and there's Tom sitting between 2 or 3 guys, all producers, and I sang Heaven on Their Minds, you know. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the song, Tom leaps out of his chair and runs up on the stage, and I'm thinking, I got the part. This is great. He came up, he hugged me. He said, man, that was great, but you do me a favor. Could you please come back tomorrow and sing The Other Guy?
The Other Guy. All right.
The Other Guy. So I went to the hotel and I listened, and I thought, well, Gethsemane's not bad. So I went back the next day and sang Gethsemane, and I've been singing Gethsemane ever since. So what I'm saying is I was not auditioning for a lead role, because I figured I had no Broadway training. How you kind of put me in a lead role? I don't even know when to, I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. What am I going to do? So bottom line, I was the understudy for Jesus. And when I first got to go on, as you well know, at the beginning of the show, whenever there's a principal actor not in the show that night, they make an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight the role of Jesus of Nazareth, not only played by, will be played by somebody else. And the audience went, oh.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
They were coming there to see the show, you know, the way it was, because it was really successful on Broadway. So we do it. We get to Gethsemane. And I sing Gethsemane, and there was a standing ovation.
Oh my gosh.
After Gethsemane. And I've been doing it ever since.
Well, and I can attest to the power of that piece. When you do it, you can see the journey that you go through as an actor portraying that song. So I totally understand why there was a standing ovation. Kimberly asks, she said, Ted, I was lucky to see you live in Salt Lake City production. Do you feel that Jesus Christ Superstar is the story of Jesus or Judas? I always felt Judas got a bad rap.
Well, again, yes, Judas got a bad rap. No question about that, because the essence of what Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber put together was what was the result. And the whole idea that Judas Iscariot was one of the leaders of the 12 tribes of Israel, was one of the people who was feeding the people who lived there and trying to overcome the Roman Empire invading their country, all of that, you see. So the idea that Judas was the bad guy, he wasn't the bad guy. Judas was trying to do what he thought was right. And he, for some reason, felt that this person, whoever this Jesus of Nazareth guy was, could help in their movement. They could somehow join together and help get the Romans out of their country. That was the whole purpose, you see. But what happened with the people, the way people reacted to Jesus, wasn't the essence that that Judas and the gang were looking for. Because to me, Carl is Judas. Carl,
I agree.
Like I said, I wanted to play Judas until I heard Carl sing it. Anyway, so where I'm coming from is, yes, it made him look like a bad guy. And I got to tell you, anyone who has watched the film, if you ever watch it again, after Gethsemane, and then there's the Judas kiss.
Yep.
Okay, the focus is on me saying things about why are you interested in fighting, all of this, and you see Carl walk past me, and he's standing to my left. It looks like he's having a heart attack. Please, when you watch the film, look at what he did.
Yeah.
He was brilliant in that. He's brilliant all the way through. But he had no dialogue. He was just there. He had told them, he'll be there. He'll be there. I'll be there. Go get him. Okay, on Thursday night, you'll find out.
Yes. Oh, that's an absolutely heartbreaking moment. And I can say, like, you know, I don't want to steal the dialogue here, but in playing Judas and getting prepared to play Judas, I think one of the most emotional parts is when during Judas's death, after the death occurs and the chorus is singing the The poor old Judas, good
Oh,
old
Judas.
Judas. And I think the first time we did that in rehearsal, I wept
Yeah.
because you just know that it killed him. It killed Judas to betray his friend.
Yes.
And one of the things that I love about seeing you, and when you and Carl did it, you knew that there was love there. It was not a forced thing. I think to this day, Ted, one of my favorite parts of Superstar is during Everything's All Right, when you sing your
Surely
counter,
we have.
and there's the hand.
Yes.
And
Yes.
for
And
me, that is just so visceral and just such a beautiful moment, because they know at least for me, they both know at that moment that this journey is gonna have to end at some point, and they're just saying, we're here for you, we're here for each other. And it's
yes.
beautiful. I love that part of the show.
And this will make you love Judas even more, because that moment was not planned.
Yeah.
Norman Jewison could not believe that we actually did that as we were shooting the sequence.
Yes.
He held a pep rally after we finished shooting that sequence. It just Carl and I were buddies long before we got into that film and into the show. He was a jazz singer traveling all over the country with his band. I'm a rock and roll screamer traveling all over the country with my band. We crossed paths all the time. We became buddies. Excuse me. And the whole essence of that was neither of us had any kind of training other than what we did. He loved all the jazz. I loved all the rockers, you see.
Yeah.
And we were able to sing together. We had a relationship by virtue of the fact that we both loved to sing. And things happened on the set for the film constantly that Norman Jewison went, oh my God, I'm glad I didn't tell you guys what to do.
Yeah.
You've got these characters down. And neither one of us were considered for it. Literally. When I was doing Tommy in Los Angeles, that's when I read in the Hollywood Reporter that Norman Jewison is in Los Angeles auditioning people for his film of Jesus Christ Superstar. And I went, oh my God, what? Well, you know, when you're doing a show, when you're rehearsing a show, you can't go audition for something else in the middle of rehearsal.
Right.
You rehearsal, and especially if it's the fourth week of rehearsals where we have previews, you rehearse all day and then do a show at night. You can't get out of that to go audition. And I went, oh, I got to talk to this man. So I had no agent or manager or anything at all. I called the Directors Guild and said, do you have a phone number for an agent that represents Norman Jewison? They said, yes, just a minute. I can't hear this. So I dialed the number. William Morris is Norman Jewison's agent available? Hold on, please. Yes, who's calling? That's how easy I got to the agent.
Oh, man.
You're not going to have a clue who I am. I'm an actor who wants to meet Mr. Jewison. And he said, go on. I said, okay, well, I'm here rehearsing Tommy. I cannot get out of the rehearsals to go to an audition. I'm afraid I'm going to miss it completely. I want to invite Mr. Jewison to see the show and let that be my audition. And the agent went, who are you? I'm a wannabe. you
Right.
know, I just want to have Mr. Jewison come and take a look and let that be my audition. He said, well, I'll call you back. Give me a half hour. And I'm thinking that's his nice way of saying, get out of my life, you know.
Sure.
He called me back and said, Mr. Jewison would love to come see your show. When would you like him to be there? I said, I don't care. He can come anytime he wants. Just don't let me know he's in the audience. I'll blow it. It's just, I don't want to know. So fade out, fade in. On a, you'll relate to this completely. On a Friday evening, Tommy was very, very physical. You know,
Yes.
the stage was like a pinball machine. And I'm not a dancer, but they wanted me to be in the under tour. That's the song it ends as first act.
Right.
Dance, brilliant dancing, great dancers. So they made me the pinball. They tossed me around the stage, literally. There were dancers who were like Arnold Schwarzenegger, gigantic, muscular guys who were brilliant dancers. So they were tossing me around on the stage. Well, that evening, one of the guys who played a catcher for me was out, and his understudy was in, and he and I misjudged what we were supposed to do. We both hit the floor and were knocked out cold on the stage.
Oh, no.
The dancers were so brilliant that they made it look like it was part of the choreography. You know, they
Wow.
drug us both off, blah, 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 blah. And we were okay, but we were knocked out. The doctor was right there with us. He said, you can both go on for the second act, but you can't go on for the next show because you
Right.
might, be crazy, blah, blah, blah. Well, it was the only show I missed in the entire run. That's the show Mr. Jewison came to see.
Of course it was. Yeah. Isn't that how it happens?
So I get a call from the agent. Where were you last night? Norman was there and you weren't there. Blah, blah, blah. So I explained it to him. He said, oh, God, I'm so sorry you got hurt. But I said, well, could you do me a favor? What would you have me do? He said, well, I'd like to maybe have lunch with him or something to apologize. I just want to meet the man, okay? He's not going to hire me for his movie. I want to see this gentleman, this Norman Jewison, because I was a big fan of his work as a director. Anyway, so he set it up for me to go to Norman's hotel. It was happening that he and his wife were going back to London that particular night. He was staying in a hotel that was near the airport in Westwood Village, Los Angeles. He said, go up to the door, knock on the door. He'll be there. And I'm going, oh my God. Because now, see, I'm playing Tommy and I'm trying to look like I'm 17, maybe, really young and all that. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's not going to want to see a kid for any of these roles. He's not going to hire me anyway, but I want to impress him. So I called an actor friend of mine, a dear friend, and said, can you come over here and make me look like Jesus? He brought a wig. He brought a beard. He did a whole makeup thing. I go to the hotel. I go to the room that they told me to. I knock on the door. No answer.
Oh, man.
Silence. I knock again a little bit louder. No answer. So I start to turn and walk away. And I thought, well, what? I've always heard three's a charm. So I turned it one more time. Yeah, who is it? From inside. I said, it's the guy that wasn't there last night. Oh, you. Yeah, we're supposed to have lunch. Go down to the restaurant. I'll be down in a few minutes. So I go down to the restaurant. Half hour later, I'm sitting there drinking coffee, and I'm not a coffee drinker. I drink a gallon of coffee trying to stay cool. And so I'm thinking, well, he's not going to show up. So I get up to pay my check, and I'm standing at the register. There's a tap on my shoulder. Turn around. There's Norman Jewison. Thought I wasn't going to show up, huh?
Yeah.
So we sat down and we talked. It was brilliant. I had the best time. He laughed at my silly humor. We became instant friends there on the thing. He said, so I hear you wanted me to see you perform. And he said, what do you have in mind? I said, just meeting you. I'm a big fan of your work. And maybe someday in the film, you might need a skinny Texan who can scream that you want to do something. He said, well, I hear you're quite a good singer. But he said, I just want you to know, we've already cast all of our principals. We were here in Los Angeles casting singers and dancers and, blah, blah, blah. He said, but I'm glad we met. He said, I won't forget you because we had a good time and you'll still be on my list one day. You good? Take care. He left. So I go back and I'm doing the show now. Tommy's happening and it's okay. And then Tommy finishes and then Carl and I do the first American National Tour of Superstar in Universal at the Universal Amphitheater, which they built that theater for our show. 5,500 seat amphitheater, gorgeous place. And we're now rehearsing for Superstar at the Universal Studios. And they got sound stages all over that lot. So we're on a big sound stage rehearsing and it's great. So one night after rehearsal, I'm getting myself into the bed and phone rings. And yeah, hello, Ted? Yeah, Norman. Now, my closest friend in America I grew up with is Norman Glenn Carroll. Okay. And I'm thinking it's him. So I'm going, hey, how's everything at Ranger, man? Everybody okay? And all of a sudden he says, pardon me, Ted, but you have me mixed up. It's Norman Jewison. I picked myself up off the floor and continued. He said, I just want to let you know that there have been people telling me that I need to see you before I make a final decision about this film. He said, so I'm trying to arrange for a screen test. And I don't have the dates yet, but I will let you know when that time comes. And I'm thinking, a screen test. What does that mean? I didn't know.
Right.
I said, well, if you're, and I'm stammering just like I am now, if you're going to screen test me, sir, for what role? He said, Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
He's that funny. That's who it was. He said, don't worry about it. He said, you just can't tell anybody. But when I get it set up, I'll let you know. Anyway, so I'm thinking, well, if I can't tell anybody, how can I hold a piece like that? So I went, wait a minute, sir. Well, if you're gonna screen test me, literally, Is it for a central character? He said, yes, it is. Um, is it really Mary? He said, no, it's Jesus. I've been told that I should see you sing Gethsemane. Of course, again, my heart jumped. And I said, well, may I ask a favor? He said, of course, of course. Do you have somebody there that will be doing Judas with me? He said, oh, yeah, we have several people. Why, you have somebody in mind? I said, yes, sir. He says, who would that be? I said, Carl Anderson, who's doing Judas. We're doing this together here.
Yeah.
He said, well, let me see what I can do. Anyway, so he arranged for both of us to get the screen test, which we assumed would be right next door to the theater we were in, or the sound stage we were in. He flew us to London for our screen test. He got us out of rehearsal for a weekend and flew Carl and myself to London for the screen test. Okay. Now they had already decided who they were having for all their principals, literally.
Yeah.
Until he did the screen test. We go back to America. We get ready to go back into the show, and it's it's the night before opening night, and I get a call again, 3 o'clock in the morning. Ted, Norman, just want to let you know you did a great job, and I want you to play Jesus in my film.
Oh man.
Really, heart attack.
Yeah, I can't imagine what you say to that.
Well, I was waiting for my heart to stop beating away.
Yeah.
I said, are you serious, sir? He said, absolutely. You did a brilliant job on your test. I loved it. I said, well, if you're testing me for Jesus and you think I'm going to do it, who is Judas? He said, well, Carl, of course.
Yeah.
So bottom line, opening night at the Universal Amphitheater of Superstar, and they always have big parties on opening night. You know?
Right, right.
After the show, Carl and I couldn't let anybody know that we had been cast. I have a photograph that's in my album, my CD, of Carl and myself backstage that we didn't even know somebody took.
Oh,
He and I celebrating with the cast, everybody's around us, and he and I, everybody's going, what's wrong with those guys? They love each other. They're just crawling all over each other.
yeah.
Anyway, so we knew nobody else did. So it all happened simply because I had the nerve or the idiocy to get in touch with that agent and say, I got to meet Mr. Jewison.
Sure. Wow, it's an incredible story. I had read little bits and pieces of it, but to hear you tell it, it's incredible.
Imagine
Yeah.
that was like.
Yeah.
I had no training whatsoever. No singing, no acting, no dancing, nothing. Just sitting on the drums and screaming. That was my
Wow.
training.
Well, speaking of screaming, we have several people that are asking about your vocal technique. And I don't mean this to be disrespectful at all, but when I saw you in 2006 and I saw that you were headlining the tour, you know, I'm very used to seeing, you know, actors that play roles later in life. So I went to the show fully expecting a changed key or two. And when you got to the temple, and that first scream in the temple, I looked at my sister who was in watching the show with me, and both of our jaws were just like, I mean, you nailed it. And then to get through Gethsemane, and we're just going, oh my God, how, like, this guy's got pipes of steel. So several people are asking, how do you maintain that? And especially when you consider that a lot of Broadway shows do 8 shows a week. What do you do?
8 shows a week. Literally, when we're touring, it's 8 shows a week, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, sometimes 9, 2 on Wednesday, you know, based on time. And I got to tell you, I've never had the problem because you see, when you grow up doing what I was doing, screaming with the band, you play from 9 p.m. to 2 in the morning, 6 nights a week.
Sure.
So you don't do matinees, but you have that. Well, in that period of time, count how many songs you sing from 9 p.m. till 2 in the morning. Average is 15 songs an hour, 45
Sure.
minutes on, okay? That's a lot of songs, man. 90 songs a night, just going at it. Well, look how many songs are in Superstar. There's not 90 songs in the whole show, you see?
Right.
So
Right.
I'm not saying, oh, it's so easy, because it isn't. You know, the most important thing is to hit those notes because everybody expects those notes to be hit. Well, I'm lucky. They still work. I can still scream. You see, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I beat myself up with my vocal cords so much. This is a vacation, you know.
Well,
And
it's amazing. And when you're touring, because one of the things that I've noticed is, going from place to place, the environment that you're in plays a lot with that. So you end up having, if you, like in Reno, Nevada, of course, when any artist comes to Reno, Nevada, they go, "Welcome to Reno. Here's your steamer, and
yeah,
here's your antihistamine."
yeah.
And so I often wonder with a role like Jesus, where you are expected to hit notes like that consistently, do you have to be extra careful when you're going from place to place and staying out of the cold, staying out of the, extreme elements? Does that play into it?
Yes, it does, definitely. And I've found out over the years there are two things that are most dangerous for your vocal cords. Number one is cold, dry wind.
Ah,
It, it dries the vocal cords and it's cold, therefore it's like purifying. Okay, it's not working. So always cover your mouth in the wintertime or when the wind is blowing. Number two is talking too much.
mm-hmm.
And believe me, I do talk a bit now and then. So I've learned the way to do it is to not let that happen when you're working. And there's always interviews that we have to do no matter where we go. And I'm fully aware of that, but I'm not a boozer. I've never been a partier. I know I have to do this show tomorrow and I have to do the best I possibly can. So when I'm doing the show, that's the most important thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
And make sure that it's okay. I'm famous for and hated for seldom ever missing a role. Because I want to always be there, hated by the understudies who never get to go on.
Sure. That makes sense. So we have a Gibson from Rhode Island. He says, "Hi Ted, your old pal from Rhode Island, Gibson."
Oh, Gibson, absolutely. How you doing, man?
Hi, Gibson.
And his Tessa saying hi, Gibson.
Hey,
Too.
Yep.
Gibson. I was actually just replying to your comment, but
Oh, perfect.
hard.
So he has two questions. Number one, you've done Superstar so many times with so many people. I can only imagine the insight you have. Has anyone ever asked you to direct it? And if so, would you? And then number two, well, actually, do number one first.
Never been asked because I've always been in it. Number two, absolutely, I would love to direct it. Yes, and I have collaborated with directors many times because I know that my experience not doesn't come from a point of directing, but it comes from relationships with the actors, how we do what we do on stage, and I've become a person who can just editorialize about that because of the different people that I've worked with.
Sure.
Nobody like Carl Anderson anywhere. There's so many wonderfully talented people I have worked with in all roles. Carl, just because we had a relationship that we didn't have to do anything but just relate to each other, sing the songs to each other, you see.
Yeah.
And no matter where one would go, the other would follow. We were always playing with each other, different things, always, and never criticizing, openly doing it together. So the best thing that you can do literally is get into that character, whatever the character is. I've always wanted to try other roles, but I've never had the opportunity because I'm supposed to do this guy.
That's right. So that actually leads perfectly to the number two question. Knowing you originally auditioned for a role without the white robe, would you ever dust off some Judas material, say for a concert next year, just to hear what might have been?
Well, Jesus, you started to believe. Well, I've always had a desire, but the more I do this, the more I love it. This character is new every night.
Mm-hmm.
Never anything that gets old. And the songs I get to sing, my God, Gethsemane is a life experience in 6 minutes. So where I come from, of having no knowledge, I have been trained by this show and by Hare and Tommy and Sergeant Pepper. I was trained, thank God Tom O'Horgan was there because Tom O'Horgan, our director, took me under his wing. I did 4 rock operas. He directed 3 of them.
Wow.
I wouldn't have ever known about Superstar had he not called and said, Ted, I want you to come and audition for this show. I know the songs, because I heard them on the radio. But it was Tom O'Horgan who I owe all of this to, and bless his heart, he's no longer with us. Second to that, it's Norman Jewison.
Yep.
Norman Jewison took a chance on Carl and myself and ended up Everybody in the cast was unknown except Barry Denon, who played Pontius Pilate, and
Yep.
Josh Mostel, who played Herod. Nobody else had even been in front of a film camera before, including Carl and myself.
Yeah.
I'll tell you honestly, we were so stupid when it comes to film. When we were first putting it together in Israel, and they had the costumes finally together, and mom wanted to say, okay, tomorrow we're going to do we're going to do a test of all the costumes, and everybody just come ready to just be walking around with the costumes on. We want to see if they look right. So he started off with us, the apostles, first. Yep. And there we are out in the Negev desert, and the camera crew's there, and we're all in our costumes going, God, what is this? We got to wear this and do this. Norman said, okay, guys, we're going to give this a try. He said, the number one most important thing is when I say action, that you hit your mark. Yeah. One of the apostles, who shall remain nameless, said, excuse me, Mr. Jewson, but which one of us is Mark? It hit your mark, and we knew Mark was one of the apostles. We didn't know which one it was. That's how stupid we were. He never once, for 1 second, made us feel stupid. He worked with us as if we had worked in the film industry forever. Never criticized, always enthusiastically with us, working with us, being amazed at what we actually did. It's so I'm glad you asked this question, man. Yeah. I can thank him in person soon, I hope. So
sounds good.
The whole thing is I have been so lucky that I got the opportunity to do anything in theater without any training. I was trained in the process on stage. Thank you, Tom O'Horgan, for that.
Wow. So this next question comes from John and Laura in Sequim, Washington. Your portrayal of Jesus Christ was and is a profound spiritual experience for those that have seen you in the role. How have you kept the character so genuine after performing it for so many years?
Because I grew up in a tiny town in Texas that the only sort of society was church socials.
Sure.
I grew up in the church. I was singing in the church choir when I was 6 years old, and it wasn't anything forced on anybody, but that was our fun time, And my band, when we started playing, we were playing for church socials as well. So I knew the Gospels. I knew the story. Every Sunday we had a new class, year round. We didn't have a summer break. We went to church every Sunday. So in essence, I can't tell you how many people have said to me, yeah, you were studying to do this role when you were a kid, weren't you?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know about the background, but my goodness, having that background, and I can't tell you how many times that when we've done new productions, live productions, that the directors will say, oh, by the way, folks, if any of you have any questions regarding the relationships of the apostles to each other or Pilate to Simon and blah, he said, just ask Ted. He has all the history of all these characters. Because every time I got a chance to do a new version, I'd do more research. Oh, I could pretty much do any character.
Sure.
But why bother stepping out of this one as long as I can hit those notes?
Absolutely.
If the notes stop happening, I'll be Caiaphas,
Sounds good to me. So I heard it, I think it was during the 90s tour. Somebody asked you that a comment that you had made, something along the lines of, if I had been an atheist when I started the show, I wouldn't be by the time I ended it.
Yes.
And so do you think that just comes from the spiritual nature of it?
Oh, absolutely. Because again, Tim Rice, Andrew Lloyd Webber, the way they put this together with the characters they chose to focus upon, those relationships are there. And if you can look historically back to where we actually went to do this, Norman took us to Israel. He could have shot this film in any desert anywhere, but he would be historical, you see.
Yeah.
And he went there 6 months before we went to the location, finding the locations to use. And everything you see in that film is authentic. Yeah. The only thing that our company guys built was the moat for the Herod song, and they placed that on the Dead Sea.
Wow.
And when they found the olive grove, there was no grass. It was just sand and rocks. So they planted the grass. Okay. Everything else in the film is exactly as it is now in Israel. And that's as close as you're going to get to the reality of what I heard in the Bible study every Sunday, you see. So what I'm saying is I already had that background. If we'd have done it in the Sahara, I might not have felt the way we all did, you see.
Yeah.
Being in Israel, honestly, we thought we were walking in someone's footsteps every day, no matter where we were. It was absolutely remarkable. And once again, I have to challenge the world regarding Norman Jewison. We are so lucky that he wanted to do this as a film.
Yeah.
He was a fan of the music, the way it was done, and he took that fandom and put it into this live. It just, we couldn't have been more fortunate.
Yeah.
And it has increased my belief and my feeling. It is so remarkable to be able to say that. It hasn't made me go, oh, I'm so sick and tired of this. I can't do this anymore. I cannot wait to get back on that stage and do it again.
No, man, it's
Want
so
to be Judas? Want to be Judas?
Yeah, hey, you just, I will be, Ted, you name the time or place, I will be there. Absolutely, 100%.
I'm going to interrupt really quick just
Yeah.
For 1 minute, just to say hi to everyone, because, sorry, I was on my phone, but then it kicked me off. So I lost all the questions. So I'm now looking at questions in the chat on here. So just to say hi to all of our friends in Europe. Right now we've got Carme from Spain. She's in Barcelona. Hi, Carme. We've got Claudia Alvarado. She's in Mexico. Claudia came to Europe like 4 times. She came to Rome, I think twice to see us. She came to the Netherlands. I mean, she's gone everywhere. It's amazing.
Think about that. People traveling all over the world, no matter where we are.
She was supposed to come to Boston too. And a lot of our fans from Europe were going to fly to Boston for the concert that we were supposed to have in April. So hopefully you guys, this will happen next year and we can all see each other again very soon. Also wanted to say hi to Maike in the Netherlands. She's on here. And obviously we said hi to Gibson.
Yes.
And Heidi. I said hi. Debbie Lewis.
Debbie.
And
the reason she's doing this is we've been over there for 5.5 years doing the show. Italian production. I'm the only non-Italian in the company. Thank God they sing it in English.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful production, one of the most gorgeous live productions I've ever been in. Like I said before, the band is on stage with us. It is powerful. That's because the director was a major fan of the film. So he gives you the full essence of the film live on stage.
Yeah.
It's just, the voices all sound like the voices in the movie, and the actors are brilliant. The singers are magnificent. The dancers are overwhelming. And all of the places in Europe can't wait to see it.
Yep.
They've never seen it in English. It's always done in the language of their country, and they all heard it first in English, you see. So and we'll be back over there as soon as this thing lifts. We were there before it was shut down. So
it's so cool. So cool.
Let me just tell you this one, and I know you'll appreciate this. I got a call from the director. His name is Massimo Romeo Pibaro.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I was doing Rasputin in the studio, the recording studio, Carl was over there doing Judas. They called me and said, man, we got to get you over here. And I said, I want to be there so badly, but I can't just walk away from this project. These are all friends of mine. We've collaborated on it. I've got to do it. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So fade in. I get a call from Massimo. He says, Ted, it's the 20th anniversary that I've been producing and directing this show over here. I'd like you to be Jesus in that 20th anniversary for 6 weeks. Would you come over? And I'm going to say no. Yeah. Absolutely. I wasn't in the studio. I was available. So that was what it's going to be. A 4-week rehearsal and a 6-week run.
Yeah.
6 years, man.
Yeah. That seems to be a trend, because I've read often, like, one of the 90s tours was only meant to last for so long. And it ended up going 4 or 5 years, and same thing with
It was the first tour that Carl and I did after the film. We hadn't been at all, and it was the 20th anniversary of the film being released here in America. And we were able to get a theater back east to say, yes, you can do it. And we put together our organization of how we wanted to make it happen, because we had all then experienced auditions. You know how that feels.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, we can get people to audition the entire show, not just the actors. We're going to invite producers and presenters and people from all over America and Canada at our expense to come and see the show. That way they'll know what they're getting. The first week of previews, we had 6 months booked.
Wow.
By the end of the 6 weeks, we had 3 years booked.
Well,
Oh, great.
yeah, it just speaks to the testament of the show and how many people still gravitate towards it.
Well,
Yeah, timeless. It
when you
truly is
It
timeless.
really is timeless.
when you think about the fact that the album had a worldwide following
Yep.
before there ever was a live production.
Yep.
See? It sold millions of copies around the world, all in English. You see?
Yep.
So once we started doing it, they went, "Oh, I got to go see this," and
Yeah.
that's what kept it alive. Plus, the people you're talking about who passed it on to their families, generations of their
Absolutely.
families.
So this is a question. I absolutely love this question. This is from Anne, no last name. So just hi, Anne. Considering Jesus Christ Superstar, the show allows it to be interpreted different ways. And for example, different time periods, old versus modern. Is there a particular interpretation you prefer or see as the most effective method to tell the story?
The most effective way to tell this story is do it exactly the way Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote it. If you change it, people go, "Why did you change that? Why
Yep.
did you change that melody? Hey, wait a minute." Because so many people grew up, children in their homes like yourself, seeing the movie in the house or listening to it or going to whatever, and you know it. You know the songs, you've memorized them. It's like listening to the Beatles song. You don't want to go change their words and their melodies and whatever. So the point is, add to that it's about religion. Everybody has a religious belief in something. And you don't have to believe in Christianity to enjoy the process of this show, you see. It's based upon the Christian faith, the beginning of that. But when you see it, when you actually see the essence of those last 7 days of the man called Jesus of Nazareth and how many wonderful, passionate relationships there are with the actors on the stage who do what they do, and watch that movie the way Norman Jewison perceived it. He's the Brown album was our blueprint. We refer to that as the Brown Bible.
Yep.
The film was the blueprint for everybody else, you see.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
Norman was a believer, and everything about it was perfect. We didn't change anything. We made it the way it was meant to be. And this lady who asked the question, it has changed people around the world in terms of their, I know this because I've been there around the world, how they relate now to their religion. And so many ministers. And when we're in Rome, oh, my closest new bestie is Papa Francesco.
Mm.
And I'm not being facetious. That man is
Pope Francis.
Pope Francis is the one that, well, Papa Francesco is, Papa Francesco.
Yes, in Italian.
Pope Francis is such a wonderful human being. He's invited us to events all the time. They do. And the last one we were there, I said, "Is it okay if we bring some cast members this time?" "Oh, of course." So the whole cast got to go. And these are people who live in Rome. Okay?
Just to clarify, just to explain further, we got to meet Pope Francis not once but twice during the 5 years that we were over there, and it was a surreal. I mean, the first time was surreal, but the second time happening, I mean, that was just I can't believe.
So
it was like an out of body experience.
I imagine very humbling.
Oh my God! Yeah,
God.
absolutely, yes. And think about it from our point of view. We being Americans, and all the cast and crew and everybody being Italians, and we're there and like this, and the Pope is right here or right here. Everybody else is behind us. And before he left speaking with us, Tessa said, "Sir, would you mind if I take a selfie of all of us?" He says, "Of course, no problem, no problem." So she and I are up here standing with the Pope. All the cast is behind us. Tessa does this with her, taking the selfie.
Yep.
And the faces of every person in the cast, they were just, they'd never been that near this man, you see.
Right.
That happened. I said, why not? If not now, when? I had nothing to lose, and
Absolutely.
I knew he was pretty cool about that, and he was awesome. He just totally did it with us. And
Wonderful.
Oh, that's so cool.
I have the picture. I don't know if it'll.
We'll find
I
it
can
and send
see.
it to you because you'll.
Okay. Oh, that would be great.
And the irony of all that is, I cannot tell you how many priests have come to see us over there who say, "Mr. Neeley, I became a priest because of your film."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at that.
Can you see it? I don't know.
Yeah, we can totally see it. That is so cool.
That's all the cast members behind us there. You know.
We were all kind of in shock that it actually was happening. So, but
was anybody tempted at all to throw up a peace sign or something like?
They were afraid.
I know, right?
So, it's interesting that you say that, because I know there was a time when Superstar was very controversial.
Very.
And I know that a lot of community organizations in particular kind of stay away from it because they're worried about it. And I think I'm happy to say that I think that that's the stigma's going away. I think more people are seeing it for what it is really meant to be. But there was a time when it was very controversial. Were you ever worried about the way it was going to come across?
Well, we had the most problem with that in the original Broadway show.
Mm-hmm.
51st and Broadway, the Mark Hellinger Theater. Every single performance, there were so many people outside of the theater protesting the fact that we were doing that show. There was never any violence, but my goodness, we had to literally push our way through people to get to the backstage door to get in, literally. And I would say, pardon me, sir or ma'am, have you seen our show? No. Well, forgive me, but if you haven't seen our show, what is it you're protesting? We hate the title, Jesus Christ Superstar. That is completely sacrilegious. We hate that. And I wanted to say, are you out of your mind? But I wouldn't say anything. I didn't want to start a fight. Okay. Then I would say, well, is there anything else? We hear that Jesus sings. Jesus didn't sing. And I'm thinking, were you there?
Yeah. It's an excellent comeback for that.
I didn't want to take a chance. I didn't know if they had a gun in their pocket or whatever, And so I said, could you please do me a favor? Could you come in tonight as my guest, watch the show, wait for me in the lobby after the show, and tell me what you don't like? We can address that. Their attitude would change instantly. You would do this? You'd consider that? Of course, we are here to entertain you, not to offend you. Yeah. So the people who were brave enough to step across that threshold into that den of iniquity and see what we were doing, waited in the lobby. Every single one of them, the minute I appeared in the lobby, they went, "We love your show. It's incredible." And they would come back and bring family to see the show. That just made chills go up my back because of the feeling I remember from that, you see. So what it was all about the fact that it was called Jesus Christ Superstar.
Sure.
They were protesting that. Once they saw it, everybody loved it. And to this day, the last time we had a protester, we were up in Northern California doing a screening at the theater. There was one guy standing out front with posters. That was it.
Yeah. No, it's funny because as we were getting ready to stage the show, there was a very small percentage of some of our people that were like, we live in a relatively small town, and we're like, is this small town ready for this? Yeah. And wouldn't you know, the minute we announced the show, we had more of a response than just about anything we've ever done. We have so many fans up here, so it's really, really great.
Love it. You're going to love the experience.
Oh yeah. Let's see. There's
a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions. I'm trying to
We're trying to get everyone's, guys, but sorry. Somebody, Micah, I'm gonna answer Micah's question.
Go ahead.
Or ask. So Micah from Holland, she's wanted to ask you about the scene on the cross, and it started to rain during the film. Can you talk about that?
Dear Micah has been to many of our performances in Europe, and she's such a sweetheart, and she always brings friends, and they always bring gifts, and they're such celebrators. We love it. Whenever we first began the shooting the cross scenes, it started obviously with me carrying the cross and falling and all of that. When we finally get to the location where Mr. Jewison had picked for it to actually happen, and they laid me down on the cross, and you can see peripherally the soldiers around there getting ready to nail me to the cross. You can't see me, but I'm laying there with my hands out, and there was tons and tons of people who worked on the film who were not from America, so language was a big problem. Whenever Mr. Jewison would say action, you would hear 7 different people say in 7 different languages, action, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay. So nobody who was hired from Israel or the surrounding countries had to speak English. They just had to look in the costumes. Well, it just turned out that the guy that they chose, soldier they chose to nail me to the cross, was gonna nail me to the cross. They said, you nailed him to the cross. So they had these things that looked like railroad spikes, you know, that would go in. And if it hadn't been for my dear close friend Cliff Lipson from America, who was one of the soldiers, he stopped the guy from hitting the thing into the palm of my hand.
That takes method to a whole new level, I think.
Oh my God, yes. So the cross then goes up all the way up several times because he wanted to get 7 different angles to make it work.
Right.
So once the cross is up like this, I swear to you, within 30 seconds, the sky went from burning sunlight to darkness to clouds to rain.
Wow.
In rain. And of course, we had to stop. And Mr. Jewison was way off in the distance with that 1,000-millimeter lens that they're shooting. And he's got the squawk, like, okay, we're going to have to cut down here now. Get back. Let's get out of here. Boy, this is the rain. Blah, 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 blah. And everybody takes off running back toward the bus. And I'm up on the cross. What about me? Literally, I'm stuck up there.
Yeah.
So fortunately, he sent some of the guys from the crew down to get me off the cross. So I came home too.
Oh man.
And it rained for 3 days and nights. It rained so powerfully that our cinematographer, his best friend was our location film shooter. And he was brilliant, David James. He and his wife were going to be there. They knew they were going to be there for 6 months. So they brought their car. They had a beautiful little convertible Mercedes. They brought it with them from England. And it washed it into the Dead Sea. That's how powerful the rain.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So,
Insane.
yeah. And then when it finished, no more rain for the whole time. It hadn't rained in that area for years. That was the thing. It just suddenly rained. And I honestly thought, oh my God, I'm up here. This giant hand's going to come out of the sky and just beat me right into the dirt because of being a bad guy. You know?
Oh man. It must have been overwhelming with that.
Yes, it was.
So Samantha Kennedy asks, was there a moment in your mind that sticks out where you realized that this, being Jesus Christ Superstar, was larger than you'd ever imagined it becoming?
Oh my goodness, yes. And still so. Especially when we were doing it the original Broadway show, which was a world premiere theatrical production. It's the first one ever done. We had no idea that there would be that kind of a response, both magnificently good and both frighteningly bad.
Sure.
Didn't know somebody's going to bring guns and start shooting these horrible anti-Christian people who are singing rock and roll, you know?
Right.
But we never had anything, that kind of violence at all. Never has happened at all. There have been, you know, people who say things that are frightening, but nothing happened. And I've ended up making friends with a lot of the protesters because of inviting them in and then seeing the show, and then they come back and they're in tears because of what they saw, you see?
Yeah.
So it is an amazing, magnificent experience that I am so honored that I've been able to be a part of. And I met my wife on the set.
I heard that. I knew that. So, well, and that, I mean, obviously meeting your wife on the set is amazing, but not only your wife, you stayed friends with so many of your cast members that you still get an opportunity to come back together with even today. And so what is it like being able to share that experience and those memories with all of them?
It's wonderful. We do it all the time, literally. Bob Bingham, who played Caiaphas, Kurt Yodgen, who played Annas, Larry Marshall, who played Simon. Oh, they are the craziest 3 people in the world. They are just absolutely amazing. And of course, Carl being my dearest friend in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
Yvonne, bless her heart, she lives in Hawaii, and she's got a crazy sense of humor too. It was almost as if Norman Jewison had put a thing out and said, I need a lot of crazy people to play these characters, people who can make jokes. Well, everybody made jokes, you know.
Yeah.
Josh Mostel was brilliant, absolutely. And what we do is when we do the screenings, when I get anywhere near where they live, they're always invited to participate.
Yeah.
We do the screenings together. And the thing we were going to do last April, Yvonne and I, was something we've been wanting to do forever, is do a concert 2-hour concert. So we had planned a weekend of Superstar, 2 nights of concerts and 2 nights of screenings, you see. So, and we had to cancel it obviously because of this, but
Right.
they're waiting for us to say, okay, now we're ready to do it, you see. So we'll be out there whenever we don't have to walk around like this.
Yep.
Oh, you
We'll
got
be
it
out
upside down.
Oh,
That's the
we'll
perfect
show you.
timing for us to plug our Superstar masks, you guys.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So, and we've had a lot of people actually asking what they look like. Dad, that's a little scary, but
I don't think it's scary at all.
well, Gibson actually, he wanted to plug it. He just said, get yourselves a Superstar mask and you'll breathe a little easier. And Brenda Shapari says she loves the masks.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Brenda. So actually, I'll just show you what they look like because a lot of people have been asking. These are our Superstar masks. We got a lot of requests from our fans about to make a mask, and we hadn't thought about it, but we just figured, I mean, you know, we have to start adjusting to this new normal of wearing masks out in public, and now it is mandatory in the state of California. So we're all wearing them. This is what it looks like. You can put yours on if you want to.
Oh, you look so much better.
And it covers, you know, your whole face. It's not some masks that I've worn, I've found that they don't cover enough or they fall down. It's great. And they're on our website, on our gift shop. I linked in the chat, which I'll do again before the end of the interview. And we only have like 15 left. So once they sell out, once they sell out, you guys can pre-order them. So yeah.
And you can even sing in them too, right?
You can even sing in them.
Yes,
All right.
It might sound a little muffled, but. And while we're at it, do you want to show them some other things?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is actually shot, filled with scenes from the film. We have location shots from Israel while we were making the film. We have shots in there from shows that we've done. It's the original elements of the film and how we've done things since then. And it's all about the people who were in the film. Norman Jewison is our director, and then of course all of our principals and the friends and dancers. We could not have done this film without the brilliant dancers, and they're showcased in there too.
Oh, and this one's signed by my dad and Yvonne.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, those are this is on our gift shop as well. It's Superstars. It's the making of and reunion of the film. It's great. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen it, if you've seen it yet, Mark, but it's, you know, a lot of behind the scenes footage. You see Carl just jamming out on his headphones behind, you know, in Israel, waiting for one of the scenes to start. My dad they're playing football at one part. I think Carl tackles my dad or something, you know, or you tackle Carl. Yeah.
Let's set that record straight. Yes.
And then, you know, we also had our reunion, which I believe he said, and Norman Jewison was there. And we have the whole cast reunion that we did in 2015 in New York City, footage from that with Norman Jewison. It was such a special event that we had. And Barry was with us, and you know, we miss him so much. But all of that is on here, and it is available on our website.
Very cool.
I'll link it too.
Yeah, we will be linking a lot of that on our Facebook and our website as well. Which yeah, go ahead. This was the other one. Yeah.
This is, for years people have been asking, why don't you do a Christmas album? And I thought, well, I can't compare with all the people who've done Christmas songs. Why? That'd be silly. So I decided to do one, which was always has been my favorite Christmas song. And I needed enough to make it an EP. So there's other songs on there as well. Yvonne and I sing a duet of Love Lift Us Up Where We Belong.
Yeah.
And Carl and I sing a duet called God's Gift to the World. We did a thing together that no one ever heard but the two of us. Anyway, so it's something that I'm very proud of. It's called rock opera. So that's it for now. And the bottom line here is I'm amazed again that after all these years, people are still interested in getting things like this. You know, they say, hey. So it's my website, tedneeley.com, and you can pre-order, and they take care of everything. And if they're out, they'll have the date up to when we bring them back to you again. So We're doing it.
Sounds great. And everybody, you can find those links on our website too, ghostlightwa.org.
Oh,
We'll take,
also, we had some people asking about cameos. So
yes.
we've had, I believe, one of, who was it on here? Ed said he's had already 3 cameos from my dad during these past few months, which is awesome, Ed. My dad's really enjoyed doing it. He's on Cameo, and if for all of you who don't know what Cameo is, it's a new app that kind of got started, I think, before, right when COVID happened,
Right.
just because we're all at home, and it's a great way to connect with the fans and from home. And he's had a lot of fun doing it.
I'm loving it. Wish them a happy birthday, or you got a new car.
Yeah.
Or how do I wash this particular T-shirt and not to get this signature gone? Stuff like that.
A cast for a show, they asked him to wish them well for their future show that they had to put on hold, and so he kind of gave them some encouragement. It was great.
I'm having a great time doing it because I get a chance to talk one-on-one with people. See?
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
I'm loving every minute of it. So.
Well, with that, why don't we jump over to one of our favorite little things that we do here, and that's what we call our rapid fire finale questions.
Oh, you know how I am with rapid fire.
Oh gosh.
I pour water on it instantly.
Well, with that, and then of course with Zoom, there's always some type of a lag. So we'll do our best with this. So these are meant to be just the first thing that comes to mind with this. Okay. So number 1, what was the first album you were obsessed with?
Beatles.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I
was driving down the road and suddenly it came on. God, I pulled over the side. Who's that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2, what is your go-to karaoke song?
You know what? I have never karaoke'd in my life.
You're missing out, Ted. You definitely need to do some karaoke.
Well, quite frankly, I don't really have a chance. Like right now, I would, but we can't get in there. Well, I don't know. It would be easy to do just somebody's single record, which on my brain right now is "Love Lift Us Up Where We Belong."
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
So number 3, you have traveled all over the world. Where is the best food?
Right here in my home. Cooked.
All right. And any place we should visit?
Pardon me?
Is there any place in particular that we should all visit?
Yeah, right here. Just come over to the house. Just let us know in advance. We'll prepare. No, literally, Italy is overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is the cuisine there is unbelievable. And it's not to say it's great everywhere else, because every place I've been, I always find great food.
Right.
But my goodness, they really focus on the food in that country.
Yeah. Italians know how to do it for sure. Number 4, what pre-show ritual can you never go on without?
Having the audience in the dressing room.
Okay. So a feed of the house in the dressing room.
Yeah. I need to just let them know that everything's going to be okay, And then we always end it before we start the show with everybody singing, "Everything's all right, yes, everything's all right, yes, everything."
It's a great anthem for our times too. Number 5, what one thing is always in your dressing room?
Well, actually, here we go.
Show them the box.
Can you see it? Where is it?
I see something.
Where is it? Well, these are lozenges.
Oh, there you go.
I always try to keep my voice medicated, so to speak, and it soothes my throat. It doesn't hurt me. There's nothing harmful. There's not any sugar in there at all, but it makes me have some moisture in there. Okay?
Wow.
I don't have it because dry mouth, man. You're saying
You sure do.
You got to have that happening. So it's always
Actually, I'm going to add on that. It's a funny kind of behind the scenes that nobody really knows about. Backstage, during our tour, one of the stagehands, he put a little box in this little spot right behind where my dad first, like there's an entrance where he first pops
make
up.
my entrance, that backstage
and
entrance.
It's just there, and it says Ted's Goods or Ted's something, and it's got all of his lozenges and everything that he needs right there. And he always makes sure that my dad is like well supplied before the show and throughout the whole.
Lozenges and water.
It's good to have a lozenge guy because I'll tell you, I'm notorious for leaving half sucked on ones all over the set backstage.
Yeah, yeah.
That's one of my things. So, number 6, if you could talk shop for a day with any performer, living or dead, who would that be?
Oh, are you kidding me? Carl Anderson.
Yeah,
Oh,
Second to
I
that,
knew your answer on that one.
Norman Jewison,
Yeah,
Tom O'Horgan. Carl and Tom are no longer with us. But
yeah,
my goodness, the friendships that were developed as a result of this, and everlasting, literally. And there are so many people that I'd love to just sit and listen to, but I'm talking about conversational elements where you really have the same thoughts in your heart and you can just really express that and not be concerned about hurting anybody's feelings, and you feel better.
absolutely. Number 7, if you could time travel, what advice would you give your younger self stepping into the performing arts for the first time?
Never give up. Believe in yourself. I cannot tell you how many auditions once I started doing this stuff
Mm-hmm.
that I went on and I was told I was too tall for the role.
Mm-hmm.
That's impossible. I'm only 3'5", No, but and when you're singing a song and then you sung about 8 bars and they go, "Thank you very much,"
Yeah.
and you go, "What was that?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I learned over time that they're looking for a specific thing when somebody's auditioning, and there's so many people auditioning, they have to do it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Like look at American Idol or America's Got Talent. You
Yeah.
get 2 minutes to do your thing, and that's it. So
Yep.
where I'm coming from is the thing that has bothered me from the beginning was, what am I doing wrong? I was not doing anything wrong. It just wasn't what they were specifying for the particular character, you see.
Yeah.
So everybody who wants to do what you and I do, and you know this as well as I do, don't get upset because you didn't get the part. Go back and get the one that's right for you.
That's exactly right. It's good advice.
Never.
Which leads us to number 8. What piece of advice would you give someone breaking into the biz today?
Okay. Know that it is a completely changed world today compared to when I first got into this business.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many more people. And I can't tell you how many people I'm aware of who live all around the country who've been told, you got to go to New York if you're going to be in theater. Well, New York is the center of theater
Mm-hmm.
for America. That means there's more actors there auditioning every day than there is anywhere else in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever you are, look what you're doing. Where you are in your little town, you're creating your own theatrical atmosphere. You're going to be producing. You're already producing. You're going to be acting in shows that you are producing. Create it yourself.
Yep.
Literally. Don't ever let anybody say you're not right for this. You're not right for this
Absolutely.
character. You have something magical that can come up and make things happen for another project. Always
Absolutely.
positive. It's just like if you're going down the road and it comes to a intersection and you have to stop, and there's a guy in front of you who fell asleep at the red light.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to figure out a way to get around him.
That's
Move
right.
the road. That's it.
Yep.
Believe in yourself, man.
Absolutely. Number 9, do you have any other musical theater dream roles?
No.
No.
I had no dream roles because I was not thinking about being in theater. I was a screaming rock and roll drummer, and all of a sudden I got to do this. And
Yeah.
if I hadn't been, again, for Tom O'Horgan, who put me in Hair, and then Norman Jewison, who put me in Superstar, we wouldn't be talking right now.
Yeah.
I'd be up there auditioning for you for one of your gigs, and
Come on down. We'll
be
we'll
sweeping.
send you our casting calls. And then finally, number 10, when you're 100 years old, and Ted, I believe you'll do this. When you're 100 years old and playing Cafe Carlisle in New York City, what will be your encore song?
Oh my God! Let me just. You're gonna die. Try not to get worried. Try not to. I'll be speaking. No, I have no idea. Encores is not something that happens in Superstar, except when we
Right.
come up for our bows. They play the title.
Yep.
But we come out for our bows. I've never really been involved in any kind of a show that wasn't encore. Like, for example, Hair, closes out with "Let the Sun Shine."
Yeah, yeah.
The whole cast is that's the way it finishes the show, and you just keep doing it until the people start yawning,
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Well, Ted, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to chat with us today. It has literally been an honor. You are forever a superstar to so many, including myself. I really can honestly say I don't think I would be the performer I am today without influences from you and other people like you. So thank you so much for what you do. I sincerely hope that our paths cross again someday. This has been a lot of fun. I want to thank Tessa for helping kind of organize all of this. It's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of emails, and it's so great to finally sit down and chat face to face. This has
Yeah,
been so much fun.
virtually.
Yeah.
I'd
And
love
I'd just
Go
like
ahead.
to say one more thing to you.
Yeah.
Just know that you just made a grown man cry.
Oh, thank you.
This has been a wonderful experience. I'm fighting back the tears right now because I don't want it to stop.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us, my friend.
Well,
I want to thank also everybody that stayed up with us. I know that there are people, it's very, very early or late, wherever you are. So you get to go to bed now. Thanks for sticking it out with us.
like 4 something in the morning now.
It's got to be like 4 something.
Thanks
Absolutely.
to all of our friends and fans in Europe. We really appreciate it. It was so great to text with you in the chat box, and I wish we could see your faces, but so great to see you guys. And also just a shout out to who said, somebody keeps asking,
okay,
Ryan Ash, and where's your wife's name?
let me say this while she's looking for this next one. Everybody who's
Deborah. Ryan and Deborah.
Yep.
everybody who's with us today, without you, we would not exist. If you didn't enjoy what we do, we would not be able to work. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I cannot thank you enough. And
Absolutely.
everybody in the area, what's the closest major city to you?
Seattle.
Okay, everybody in Seattle, just know this young gentleman is going to be the king of theater in your whole area and across the country. So get up there and meet him now while you got the chance.
Fantastic. Love it.
Like
Yes.
Superstar next, right?
Yeah, that's yeah, once we get back to work, that's our first show. We were literally right in the middle of blocking when we got the notice that everything was to be shut down. So
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll be able to come and see it or something if, once everything gets back to normal.
absolutely.
Up north to Washington.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great place to visit for sure. And I don't know if it's probably super hot where you are right now, like upper 90s, I'm sure.
No, not in,
No,
in our
we're-
neighborhood. We're closer to the beach, so it's easier.
It's
Oh,
actually
okay.
nice, like 70s here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 58 degrees here
Oh
today.
my
So, yeah.
Well,
Just a little chilly.
let me just say, Seattle, just know this is your own personal Judas right there. Mark is the man.
Thank you
You
very
guys,
much.
this is on Facebook right now. We'll share later. Are you going to be sharing the Facebook Live?
Absolutely.
Have that to share with our fans later. People are asking.
Yeah.
And also we'll share a YouTube link as well once everything is ready to go with the video. And just we'll keep you guys posted on everything that we're going to be doing, and just stay in touch. And everyone stay safe, please.
Yes.
And take care of each other.
Love and hugs
And
to your beautiful wife.
wear
Thank you so much. Wear masks. Stay safe.
Wear masks.
You guys take care. Thank you so much, and blessings to everything that you're doing.
And
Thank
you as well.
You as well.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye, everyone.
Peace, love, and light.